Hi, I'm Jaume Ortiz, and I'm in charge of the historical figure area at Acrylicos Vallejo. On today's video, I'll show you how to prepare figures made of different materials for painting. Let's start with an injected plastic miniature. The parts need to be taken off of their sprue, so we'll use a sprue cutter. I cut every point that connects with the sprue, leaving some space from the piece itself to avoid damaging it. After that, I remove the excess with the sprue cutter, trying to finish it off as much as possible. With the modeling knife and different shaped blades, I'll work on the parts to get them ready to be glued. Using the straight blade, I remove any excess remaining after cutting the piece with the sprue cutter. The curved blade is fantastic to remove all the mold lines that run along the whole piece. To this end, I gently scratch the surface along the line until it disappears. The rounded tip allows working comfortably without damaging other areas. Finally, I finish all the mold lines with the finest grit flexi sander. I glued the parts with some plastic liquid cement. I apply glue on one of the sides of the joint, attach the other piece, and press for some seconds. To comfortably glue small-sized pieces, I'll use the Pick and Place tool. It has two different sized silicone tips. I press on the small piece with the tip and it gets attached. That way, I can move it easily to its required position. Using the spin-top pin vise and a 1mm drill bit, I make some holes under the feet of the miniature. Then I insert some brass rods in the holes and glue them with cyanoacrylate glue. These rods serve to attach the piece to a temporary base, which will allow manipulating it while painting. The miniature is ready to paint. This figure is made of different white metal parts. I'll use a set of diamond files to remove all the mold lines. The round file is adequate for most of the surfaces. I file the mold line gently in a perpendicular motion to its position. It is important to preserve the sculpted volumes. That requires applying more pressure in some areas and changing the direction of the filing motion. The half-round file will be very useful in the less reachable areas of the folds and to define the edges of the volumes. In some areas, I'll need to use the edge of the straight blade to avoid damaging any fine detail near the mold line. When filing metal, it is easy to leave some marks on the miniature's surface. I'll remove them using an electric drill and a wire brush head. I polish the filed areas to remove any undesired marks. The brush must be used parallel to the surface, working with the flat side to avoid leaving marks on the metal. Using the sprue cutters, I remove the fitting under the feet of the miniature, as I will place it on a new scratch-built base. Again, I drill some holes under the feet of the miniature using the spin-top pin vise. The best thing for gluing metal parts is a bi-component glue. I take equal amounts of material from both tubes and mix them thoroughly. I apply the mix to the pieces and put them together. We need to wait some minutes for the glue to fully cure. Finally, we put the figure on its temporary base. The miniature is glued and ready to paint. Some parts have been left unglued to make painting easier. This is the breakup of the resin miniature. Some parts have really big excess resin blocks. To remove them, I'll use saw blades attached to a handle. I cut carefully to avoid damaging the piece. After that, with the curved blade, I remove any residue that might be left. The smaller bits of residue can be removed with the sprue cutter and then sanded down with a fine grit flexi sander. The mold lines get removed with the edge of the curved blade. I do the fine polishing with a glass fiber brush. This tool is especially suitable for soft materials like resin. The pieces are glued with cyanoacrylate glue. I drill some holes in the head and the neck of the miniature, and I insert a rod. This will allow painting the head detached from the body. Again, I install some pins under the feet of the figure to be able to attach it to a temporary base while painting it. I use liquid putty to fill any holes that might be in the joints. The putty is applied directly as it comes in the bottle, over the area, and the excess is removed with a paper tissue. Once it is dry, the joint gets sanded with a glass fiber brush. Finally, I'll apply primer to the three figures using different tones of hobby paint spray cans. The German soldier gets primed with the dominant tone of the uniform, field gray. The paratrooper gets primed in gray. This color allows you to see any imperfections that we might have skipped when preparing the miniature. Finally, the tank officer is primed in black. I'll use the spray can trigger grip. It's useful to avoid getting your hands dirty and offers better control over the pressure valve. The three miniatures are primed and ready to paint. I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments section.